We are all set up on Facebook. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And now we are set up on YouTube. This is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for joining me tonight. We are going to be talking about self care in relationships. If this is your first time joining me, I am Nainye J, and I am your transformation coach. I will be facilitating this live stream tonight. And what we are talking about, this is our second day. All week, we will be talking about different aspects of self care. And we explained on last night that when we talk about self care, what we're really talking about is, is taking care of, protecting the uniqueness of who you are, your personality, your emotions, your mindset. That is what self care is. It is protecting who you are. It is guarding your uniqueness because nobody else is like you. You alone are the only you. Even if you are a twin, and I said this on last night, even if you are a twin, you are uniquely you. There is no one else that is 100% like you. Even twins think differently. Even they have different opinions about things. They may finish each other's sentences, but they still are uniquely two different people. And so when you are in relationships and when you are talking about self care, how do you guard that uniqueness? How do you guard your personality without being mean, without being standoffish, without lacking the skills to foster a good and extraordinary relationship? How do you remain who you are in the midst of loving somebody else, in the midst of being in a work relationship, in the midst of being in a congregation with millions of people, or maybe even just 100 of people? How do you foster a good relationship while still realizing and recognizing who you are and not losing your own identity? In my opinion, that comes directly from self care. First thing, as we learned last night when we talked about our mentality and our emotions with self care, the first thing that you have to do is recognize who you are. And for me, it also means who I belong to. Because being saved and being a Christian, then I have to recognize that I belong to someone greater than me, that I was created by someone greater than me. And so the first thing that I have to do is recognize that greatness, recognize that it comes from a power that is greater than mine, and that power wants me to be successful. That power, which I call God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, they want me to be successful. They want me to be prosperous. They want me to be who I was designed to be. And so once I recognize that, once you recognize that in your life, whether you do it through prayer or whether you do it through meditation or whether you do it through going out and being one with nature and just listening to what the creator has to say to you, however you facilitate that, however you get to know who you are and you recognize your purpose and the plan that the creator has for you, then you can come into other relationships healthy, whole, and wise, right? Able to love. You will have something to pour into somebody else. See, I think the problem is so many times we get into relationships and we call ourselves falling in love with folks, and we really don't know who we are. How can I become one with somebody else if I really don't know who I am? I really don't know what my dreams and desires are. I really don't know what God's purpose for me is. I'm just living all willy-nilly, day to day, no real goals, no real aspirations. And so how can I add to anybody else? How can I become one with somebody else when I really don't know who I am? When I really don't know what I want to do or who I want to be or what my gifts and talents are. And so we have to first get to a place where we understand who we are and whose we are. So once we've dealt with that issue and we've dealt with the emotions and the mentality of who we are, now we can start dealing with people on the basis of developing relationships. Because whether you develop a love relationship with somebody or a work relationship with somebody or whether it's a ministry relationship because you are part of a church or a congregation. You have to be whole within yourself in order to foster good relationships. So once you decide that you are at that point where you can foster a good relationship with somebody, you cannot get so in tune with them or so in tune with that institution that you forget who you are. And I think this resonates even louder when it comes to women and men too. We definitely don't want to leave men out of this conversation because they have feelings too. Sometimes as women, as society as a whole, we tend to forget that men are also emotional. They also need love. They may have a different love, a way of professing their love, and that we call that the love language. They may have a different way of doing that, but they still crave love. They still crave acknowledgement. They still crave emotion from someone else. And so we have to recognize that this is not just one sided. It is the man and the woman who need self care, and the children need self care. The truth be told, we all need self care. And if we don't take care of ourselves, it's just like I was saying on yesterday when you have the airplane and the airplane is going down and there's turbulence going. The first thing that they are going to tell the parent is grab that oxygen, put it on you, get some oxygen, make sure your head is clear, and then you give some to your child. Because if you are disoriented, if you don't know what to do, if you don't even recognize your surroundings, how can you help your child? You can't. You can't. You have to have yourself in order before you can help anyone else. It's the same way with relationships. If you do not know who you are prior to being in a relationship, you cannot effectively be a part of that relationship. It's just not going to work. You guys are going to either argue every day, you're going to miscommunicate every day, you're going to have misunderstandings every day. And after a while, you're just totally not going to want to be around each other because you have not developed the skills. You have not had enough self-care in order to have a lasting and loving relationship with somebody. And it's definitely a process because, in my opinion, all of us are broken in some type of way. None of us were born here on the earth just perfect beings. None of us came out of our mom, just, oh, I got it together. I immediately sucked the bottle. I immediately was able to walk. I could read. No, we don't come out like that. There is a process. It's a growth process. And also our relationships, our self-care, our mentality, it takes growth. It takes growth. It takes time. And we just can't jump into things. Right now, we live in a world where people want everything right now. Right now. It's, I want a microwave. I want it real hot. I want it real fast. I want whatever my body desires, whatever fleshly desires I have, I want it right now because this is my body. It's my world. I can do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And I'm going to tell you guys, that is what gets us in trouble. Period, point blank. It gets us in trouble every time. Because one, that's not how God created us. He did not create us to just get it, any kind of way you want, whatever you want, whenever you want. We were created with a purpose and a plan. And everybody has something different to do. Everybody has a different path to what he wants you to do. Right? And so we have to get with him first to recognize what is it that he wants me to do. And then how does he want me to do it? Okay? And so those are the first key things. What is it that I'm here to do? And how does he want me to go about doing it? Please excuse my background noise. So once we develop those things and we realize, okay, now I am ready for a relationship. I am ready to go to the next level. I am ready to be one with somebody else. I am ready to enter a partnership with somebody. I am ready to be part of a congregation. I am ready to, be on the ministerial board or be on the usher board or, be in the choir or, whatever way that I have decided that God wants me to participate. And so you get in those situations and you have to keep yourself in order. You cannot lose yourself in uh in ministry. And sometimes we think, well, we're doing this for God, so He wants us to be there 24 hours a day, every time the door opens. Let me tell you something. Although you have to develop your relationship with Christ, you cannot be there every time the church door opens. Not even the pastor. When congregations expect that from pastors, that is so unrealistic. That is so unrealistic. Nobody can be there all the time, every time. Every time somebody gets up at the pulpit, it is not going to be the pastor talking. When you are in an intimate relationship with somebody, they are not going to be perfect 100% of the time. They are not going to know every word to say to you, everything to do right 100% of the time. So when you are in a relationship, you have to have enough maturity, enough wisdom, enough wherewithal, enough self-care. Because if you have done proper self-care, you will be in a position, right, to do what is right, not only for that person, but for you, because you cannot lose yourself in the situation. I hear so many women, and they post it on Facebook and they inbox me and they ask me questions. Well, I did everything for him, and I when he wanted dinner, I cooked dinner, and when he wanted to, go to the movies, I went to the movies, and I bought him clothes, and I bought him gym shoes, and I did this and I did that for him. Okay, you did everything for him. You were there, you were present, but what did that get you? See, you were so interested in being an active part of relationship, you didn't get nothing out of it for yourself. You were totally invested in just seeing what did he want. But any relationship that we have, whether it's intimate, whether it's your work relationship, or whether it's a ministry, there is a two-way street. There is a two-way street. You have to communicate with each other. And especially in intimate relationships, let me tell you something, because I thought this for so long. I really thought my husband, and at the time my boyfriend, I thought he was a mind reader. I thought he should know everything that I wanted, when I wanted it, how I wanted it, what color I wanted it in. I thought he should just know that. Why? Because he loved me. And because we women, we tend to cater to men. So we find out those things. We find out what his favorite color is. We find out what type of cologne he likes. We find out, what he wants to see us in. But do we ever offer that information? Because once again, men interpret things differently than we do. Our love languages may be different. The way we communicate is different. The way we receive is different. And so we have to have a heart-to-heart conversation. We have to verbalize these things. So I got to the point where I had to, just tell my husband, well, this is what I like. And I had to ask him, what do you like? How do you like me to show you affection? How do you like to receive love from me? And whereas I'm a touchy-feely person, he's really a spend time with me person. We don't got to be holding hands. We don't have to be smooching, but just be in my presence. He's the type, just be in his presence, even if I fall asleep. But I'm on the couch in his presence. And that makes him happy. He appreciates that. But what I also did in the beginning of our marriage is I catered to him, but I didn't have any self-care for me. Everything was about him, and I was miserable. One, because at that time I hadn't communicated to him what made me happy, the things that he could do, the things that we could do together, the things that he could say that gave me joy. That's the first thing I didn't do. And the second thing is I did not take out time for myself. We had our first child young. And so I was 19 when we had our first child. And so we always had a kid there once we got married. And so I thought, okay, if I keep the kid together, if I keep the house together, if I keep our room together, if I keep the bathrooms clean, if I keep cooking, if I'm there at every movie he want to go to, then we'll be happy. Well, no, he was happy, but I wasn't happy because I was not giving myself self-care. I was not meeting my needs. Because another thing that we'll learn about marriage and relationships is you cannot expect the other person in the relationship to meet every one of your needs. It's impossible. They couldn't do it. And to ask them to do so is just crazy. It's asinine. Because you are going to run them crazy. You're going to run yourself crazy because you're never going to be pleased. Because once again, it's a two-way street. And some things, you know what? My husband just can't do for me. Something, he cannot do my nails. He cannot do my hair. He cannot give me peace. The peace only comes from me meditating on God's word, from me getting with the Creator. That gives me peace. He cannot be my peace. I hear so many women say that. Oh, he's my peace. He's my joy. Nah, I might have some peace when I'm with him. I may be filled with joy when I'm with him. I may be happy when we spend time together, but he is not my joy. He is not my peace. No, that is God-given. God gives me that. When I meditate on him, he gives me peace. No matter what's going on, he is my provider of peace. He is my provider of joy. Right? And so we have to recognize that. And when you recognize that, when you have given yourself that time of self-care, then you don't look for those things in relationships. You don't look at your job to be your everything. I did that before too. I was making good money. I was giving them overtime whenever they wanted me to work. And it was like it was my God almost, because here I was making more money than I had ever made in life. And, you know, I was working and I liked my coworkers. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed my job. But it could not give me that peace. It could not provide for me the care that I needed to maintain who I was. Because although I am a nurse, that does not define me. That is not the full definition of Nainye when you say nurse. That's a small piece of me. Even though I'm a mother, that does not define me. It's a portion of who I am, but it does not define who I am. Even though I'm an entrepreneur, and even though I try to help others transform their lives, that is not a total definition of who I am. Who I am is God's creation. Who I am is a peculiar person, a royal priesthood. Who I am is who God has allowed me to be. He has purposed me to be. And that person holds a lot of different titles. I wear a lot of different hats, just like you do. In a day, I probably wear 3 to 4 hats in one day. But it's those things combined that make me who I am. And so I can't lose sight of that. I cannot get so involved in being a mother that I don't recognize, hey, I'm still a nurse. I can't get so involved in being a nurse that I don't recognize that, hey, I'm still a wife. I can't get so involved in being a wife that I forget, hey, I'm a child of God. There has to be balance. I don't care what type of relationship you're talking about, what type of relationship you are entering in, what type of relationship you desire. There has to be balance. That's the only way it's going to work, is if there is balance in the relationship. And once again, that starts with knowing who you are. So for a few minutes, we got a few minutes left. For the last few minutes, let's just talk about in an intimate relationship. How do you not lose sight of who you are? How do you continue to maintain that self-care, the uniqueness of who you are as you enter into this relationship with this other person? You do that by knowing what you want and what you are willing to give. Me and my husband are here, and we have our children, and we're raising. We have a family here. My mom is here. And so we have a family unit filled with adults and children. But there are some things that I know as being a wife, and my husband, Antoine, being my husband, there are some things that I know that are off limits because I'm his wife. So there are some things that cannot enter into our relationship, and I continue to be an active participant in the relationship. So now this is after we'll be married 21 years. So this is 21 years of processing that, 21 years of having conversation, 21 years of getting to know each other. But if you are just entering a relationship, you have to go into that relationship knowing that there are some things that if it don't line up, then this is not the relationship for me. And I think that's where so many people get it twisted, because you go into the relationship and you see that that person does not have the qualities that you are looking for in a relationship. He smoke, you don't like smokers. He don't work, you want somebody that's, have an honest, legal, gainful income. He don't have a car. You want a man that at least have a vehicle. So here you enter in this relationship, and already it's three things that you totally don't like, that you don't agree with. He has these three things as part of his buildup, as part of his resume, but you saying, baby, I love you. I know you're going to make it. I know you don't have a car today, but I know one day you're going to get a car. Now here y'all 35 years old. I mean, unless he just got in an accident and lost his car, he ought to be working towards that. That ought not be something at 35, 40 years old that I'm still looking for a man that got a car. Well, he don't have a car because he ain't gainfully employed. At 35, 40 years old, he ought to be gainfully employed or drawing disability one. It ought to be some revenue coming in. And I'm not saying this to say that women need to be, or even men for that matter, need to be these bougie, uppity people. No, but you have to have some things that you require. There have to be some requirements. When you go to a job, there are requirements. First of all, as a nurse, I have to have a license in Tennessee to practice in Tennessee. That's a requirement. They're not trying to be bougie or uppity or nothing like that. It's just a requirement. If you want to work as a nurse, you have to have a license to practice as such. If you want to be a teacher, you have to have the credentials and the certification to practice as such. Right? And so it's the same thing in a relationship. If you want to be in a relationship with me, then there are some requirements that you have to meet. Even back when me and my husband were dating 20-some years ago, I wanted somebody that was going to go to church with me. I wanted somebody that cared about the Lord. Because I felt like if he cared about the Lord, if he had a relationship with God, then me and him could foster a relationship. Now I see so many saved women who are with men, or even saved men who are with women that don't even care about going to church, don't even have a relationship with the Creator. You ask them, well, what they believe in. Well, I believe in vibrations and energy. I know somebody made me. What are your requirements? What are you requiring of them? How are you going to be in a good relationship when you guys don't even have things in common? You have not sat down and had a conversation. And I'm going to tell you what gets in the way 99.9% of the time. It's sex. We enter relationships and we think, oh, he looked good. She looked good. Oh, I can't wait to jump in bed with them. Then you go to bed with them, and that's all you have. All you have is that sexual relationship. All you have is, they smelled good, they looked good, it felt good. So I'm going to stick this out. When really sex, I'm going to just be 100 with you. It ought to be the last thing you get. That ought to be what you're getting when you getting married. But I know we don't believe that in 2019. Because in our mind, everybody's doing it. But if you're a young person listening to this and you have not done it yet, keep yourself. Keep yourself. Have a conversation first. Allow that person to take you out. You guys learn things about each other. get to know each other, have communication. Because it's nothing like fall in love with somebody who love you for who you are and not for your private parts. It's nothing like it. But we sell ourselves short because we don't take care of who we are first. We are not open and honest about our desires and our requirements to have a relationship. Even on the job, we go on the job and we're going to be gung-ho, employee of the month, employee of the year. And we're not even honest with our employer about the expectations, the things that when we got on the job and we actually start doing the job that fell short. And we can have that conversation. Even with your employer, you can have that conversation. You can sit down and say, hey, look, you're my supervisor, and I just see, 2 or 3 things that we could probably improve on as a team and make this a more desirable place to be. But you know what we do? This place ain't by now. It's just like the last place. And then I can't wait. I'm looking for somewhere else now. You just got there. But we give up on relationships, y'all. We give up. We want the easy road, and if it don't come easy, then we don't want to be a part of it. If it don't come easy, then we just ignore it, or we cast it away. We get rid of it. But relationships take time. They are a process. They take self-care. If you don't know who you are, you certainly cannot become one with somebody else. Thank you for joining. Hey, good to see you, Miss Patrick. You have to do it, you guys. And we're about to sum up, but I just want to go over our beginning point. First, we have to know who we are and who we belong to. If you want to practice self-care in a relationship, you first have to know who you are. You first have to know who you belong to. And you have to have some requirements. When you are entering a relationship with somebody else, there has to be some requirements. There has to be a conversation. And the first conversation cannot be, what position do you like best in the bed? We cannot immediately in relationships fulfill the lust of the flesh. Yes, you may have started talking to him, or you may have started talking to her because she visually looked good to you. I understand that completely. But it should go beyond that. They should meet some requirements. Are they saved? Is that one of your requirements? How do they treat their mother? Do they have children? If so, how do they treat their children? Do they have a 5-year plan? What are they doing with their life? Are they in school? Are they working? Are they gainfully employed? Do they have somewhere to live? Are they living with their mom? These are things that it amazes me that men and women don't even inquire about. And you've been with this dude 3 months and you don't know where he worked. You don't know how much he making. You never met his mom. Don't even know if his mama alive. What you been talking about? What have y'all been texting about? It must have been about a TV show or something, because you don't know enough about him. You don't even know enough about him to invite him to meet your parents. Y'all, this is just the tip of the iceberg we're talking about right now. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But I promise you guys, if we start meeting some of these requirements in relationships, we will develop extraordinary relationships. We will develop into young men and women of Christ who will be able to come together and have lasting marriages. I'm telling you, in 2019, it is still possible to be married 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We do not have to have this hit it or quit it mentality. Me and my husband will this year, this month, well, tomorrow is May the 1st. We will have been married 21 years. We will have been together for 24 years. So it's possible. But it takes work. It takes commitment. But most of all, y'all, It takes a relationship with Christ. And I know we don't want to hear that. Folks don't want to hear that. But that's what it takes to put up with somebody else. Hallelujah. It takes a relationship with the Creator. Y'all, we're going to have to end right now. It's been 30 minutes, and I said that these would just be 30 minutes. But we are going to meet again tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I do it this late in the evening because my house becomes settled at this time. I appreciate you guys for watching. Please like and share. Tomorrow, we are going to continue to talk about self-care and relationships. And I'm going to give you 5 more tips on how to remain your unique self, to keep who you are in the midst of being in a relationship, whether that relationship is with your job, your ministry, or with your spouse. I'm going to show you how you can stay who you are and true to who you are within a relationship. All right. Thank you for being with me. Once again, my name is Nainye Jordan, Nainye J. You can see me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope. I broadcast 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time with Morning Meditations on Periscope and Facebook. That's on my Facebook Nainye Jordan page. You can join me there tomorrow morning, once again at 5:30 a.m. All right, have a wonderful evening, and I pray that you are developing extraordinary relationships. Have a good night.